Hey, this is the Corey Maselli Show with the sexy Viking, Matthias Bergstrom Anderson, holding it down over in Denmark. Today we got Mr. Travis Mash. A lot of you guys know who he is already. Talked to you about him, and you're excited to hear what he has to say. Travis, the athlete, the dad, family man, entrepreneur, coach, power lifter, Olympic lifter, what else, man? Fill us in, give us a quick background, as quick as you can anyway.
Right. Mainly, I'm just a dad nowadays, but I guess, I was a 3-time world champion in powerlifting. I was at the Olympic Training Center for about 3 years in Colorado Springs for weightlifting. And then did a little bit of, right before I came to you, I did a little bit of bobsledding. And then, but mainly just a coach now that I really enjoy coaching some high level, mainly people know weightlifting, but now I also coach 3 really good powerlifters. And then just like you, I've coached NFL, NBA. You're really where my career kicked off. Was working with you at D1. So
yeah, that was a good experience, man. We'll get into that in a little bit here.
Right.
Hey, you're a football player too, man.
Appalachian State University. So ironic when up there. And what was your boy's name? Who also worked with us? Who played at Michigan?
Rumbercheck, baby.
Yeah. And I was up there the year that App beat Michigan. It was ironic, but
yeah. I remember the day clearly. Let's talk about that game for a minute, man, because both of us have some roots in sports performance. I think that game was like monumental and just showing like what an impact training could have and like changing the tide of something, man, because that was like you give me your commentary on that. I know you're close to the heartthrob of the whole thing. So give me your take on App State beating Michigan at the big house.
Right.
1AA beats 1A. What does that mean?
I think they learn to recruit speed even if they're undersized. I think that was the big thing because when you're at 1AA, you're not going to get the 4-star and 5-star recruits as often as you go as like a team like Michigan's going to get. So you recruit speed, and then they've always had the knack of getting walk-ons. Like Matt Stevens is a guy I played with, who ended up playing. He walked on at Appalachian State and then played 10 years in the NFL. So I feel like our strength and conditioning was a little bit ahead of everybody's, because even when I was there from 91 to 95, like Coach Mike Kent was our strength coach, people would just like transform themselves, which is what really, intrigued me about sports performance. I saw what could happen. I saw Matt Stevens come to Appalachia, and he was 176 pounds, 6'1", running a 4.740, leaving there at 220, running a 4.4 laser time at the NFL Combine. So I saw a miracle take place, basically.
Right.
So yeah, that's how it all happens. Sports performance. Plus, I don't know about how you were raised, but for me, it was when the first time that I really started thinking about being like the best in the world, the best in your vision, always winning. It's just a habit. I feel like, once you get a taste of that, like, it's hard to go in the opposite direction. But I feel like people need to experience winning to understand how to win. So,
yeah, I hear you, brother. Yeah, that was a pretty special day. Well, let's back up. Let's bring us up. Okay, let's give the listeners a background. There's a company I started way back in 1997 called D1 Performance. It's still popping today. It's called D1 Training. That's a whole interesting story in and of itself. But basically, this one of the first sports performance companies in the Midwest. We were like branching out and doing some licensing things. This crazy cat, rest in peace, named Ron Fernando, said, I know of a gentleman named Travis Mash. I'm like, I think I heard that guy. Show me your information. Next thing you know, boom, we were up in Chicago. We were working together, and we had a pretty cool thing cooking there, man. And
we had the makings of something very special. Somehow you gathered some amazing people around you, and like it was such a great experience. One of my best.
Yes, let's follow your. I think that was like 2006. I think when you moved back to North Kakalaki. Bring us up to speed, man. It's been a minute since then.
Well, so 2007 was when I came up there, and I met who now is my wife, and so that was a big problem is because I was like, first time ever, I was like in love with this girl, and it wasn't just like some fling. I actually really liked her. And but coming up there, it was a great time because I was transitioning, out of powerlifting. Yeah, I got hurt a little bit, and then I really wanted to start focusing on more coaching. I really loved sports performance, and so I needed. I'd been doing it, but not at the level that you were. And so going up there and seeing, gosh, I learned a lot from. Remember Sean was up there, and then you just had so many great coaches in house, and it changed everything because then I knew at that point that I would always be coaching. In this level, I really like the private setting, and I still do. And just wow, the way you put the systems on, in place. That's really what you start talking about. I still remember you talking about not injury prevention, but preparing athletes for battle. You called it. It was named after the truck.
Oh yeah,
Duramax. Duramax, yeah, Duramax.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was great to see how you put the systems in place. We drove down to Texas. What part of Texas did we go?
It was Wichita Falls. I remember.
Wichita. Yeah. What's crazy is when we were down there, the guy that we were talking to, I remember him mentioning Mark Ripito.
Oh yeah.
It was that was my first ever that I ever heard of Mark Ripito was down there. And then, of course now he became like a household name for somehow. But
right.
Anyway, yeah, it was. And since then, I've been, when I came back home, it was like in 2008. I started my own sports performance, and I was in the back of a gym, basically like a lot of us start. And I think that what I did when I came back down is applied almost everything that I learned up there, like the systems, the way I talk, everything had changed. I didn't just talk like a powerlifter. I talked like someone who understood sports performance. And it was a big win for me because, the people at the time, everybody wants to give their kids an opportunity, the best opportunity that they have. They have X genetics, so they want to maximize it. And so I was able to talk the lingo and I was able to back it up with, good
and back
results.
It up. Yeah, for
right.
Sure.
Right. And so, yeah, that was it. You really sent me on a whole different path. So for that, thankful.
I followed your career, somewhat closely. So I know you jump back in. You got more to some formal education also.
Right.
So tell us about that.
Well, I'm finishing up my the master's end of it this semester. So I have my master's in exercise science, of which then I'm going to continue right into the PhD in human performance. So I'm in that end. I feel like here's the reason I did that. I feel like you'll appreciate it is because I feel like in our industry, you have, people like us who've been under the bar, who have experienced it. Then you have people that have been a great athlete, whether it's powerlifting, they've been a great football player. You were a great football player, or they've coached some people. So now they that's who they are. And then there's now in the industry, like the people who have the PhDs, like the Greg Knuckles, and so you have influences from all these different areas. So it's really hard to understand because they're saying different things. But so I wanted to integrate it all in one. So I wanted to be the one who has the PhD, who actually did the thing, and who's coached the thing. And so I have empathy. I understand it. Whereas people who just do the PhD, they only know the science, and that normally, as you and I both know, science is a good decade behind at least. And so you need the experience, or otherwise you'll always be behind. So
well, I'm proud of you, man. You got some really cool stuff, man. Yeah, I think you're kind of underselling your stuff too, because I travel all over the country, and anytime there's someone in Olympic lifting your sports performance world, I bring up your name, and boom, they know exactly who I'm talking about. So you built up quite a legacy, brother. I promise you. And it's people all over the damn, like all continents know what you got going on now. So don't hold back. I'd love to hear more about it too, because we crossed paths a few times since then, but To me, this interview is important because I'm really intrigued in hearing like the nitty gritty details of what you had going on. Talk about some athletes, talk about some experiences, ups and downs, everything, because I find it like super fascinating.
Well, we get to start with, I have an athlete right now who is a weightlifter. His name is Ryan Grimsland. And probably of all the athletes I've coached, which I've coached, Tommy Bohannon, who was like one of the best fullbacks in the game when he played. He played 7 years in NFL, and he still holds the bench press for reps record for running backs in the NFL. The combine when they do that.
Yeah.
So I coached him. I've coached.
How many did he get, by the way?
Man, it was up close 40. It was a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
something
cool.
ridiculous. Yeah. And then, but this kid, Corey, is not normal. Like he literally does on a daily basis a 40. We do daily readiness tests. And so that we do it's called a RSI, reactive strength index. And what they do is they do a 45 centimeter depth jump to the jump mat, and it records the ground contact time and records the height. And so I feel like that's better than the vertical leap because it's a test of their neuromuscular system. So I'm starting.
That's some Fred Hatfield stuff right there.
Exactly. So It tells me, are they ready or are they not? And it tells me now, is their nervous system and their muscular system ready? So it gives me a lot of good information. But anyway, the point is that kid on a daily basis does a 40-inch vertical from a depth jump, which normally people's depth jump is not as high as just like the regular, because you got to absorb that landing. And then the goal is to get off the ground as fast as you can. So he does that. I mean, like this kid he has snatched now 156 kilograms, 300, what is that? That's 343 pounds. And he's only weighs, here's the kicker, 160 pounds. He's a 70 kilogram guy. Yeah, he is not normal to Corey. He is like the speed of which he moves and the way he moves. It's like, I mean, it's just incredible. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
I'm kind of curious. What is the time that he's like? What is that rebound time once he strikes the floor?
Oh, it's like 0.2 seconds. It's really fast.
Yeah, it's like a Super Ball, basically. Boing.
Yeah, it's like so that is super important for weightlifting. I think people often ask me, why do I coach so much weightlifting versus powerlifting? But I think the intrigue is like the chess match, because in powerlifting, I'm pretty confident that anyone I come in contact with will get stronger, and they'll get progressively stronger until they get to the threshold of getting hurt. But weightlifting, you can get them stronger and absolutely nothing happened to their competition list.
Right. Sure.
And so, or it's just, there's just so many different variables. And this kid, to have all the variables, like I've either had people who were incredibly strong but weren't fast, or who were super fast but so weak. And so like you're always looking for this human who's both. And like this kid is, he's 19. I've had him. Another good thing, I've had him since he was a baby. Like I had him in sports performance in high school, and then he got into CrossFit and became, CrossFit Games, like teenage CrossFit Games. But then I introduced him to weightlifting, and like right away he started killing it. So he dropped all that, focused on weightlifting, and now he's, in 2024, unless something terrible happens, should be like a lot of fun. And hopefully not only just going, like in America in the last 8 years, we've gone from like just showing up and participating to actually, medaling, looking to win. And so this kid is my first one that at any level, like we're going to Junior Worlds in a few months in Greece, and we have every intention of winning. And so, and hopefully break the world record. Awesome. Yeah. And this kid has the attitude. And you know what else? He loves Westside Barbell.
Cool.
He's more intrigued by them. I have no doubts that when 2024 is over, he'll go to powerlifting. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually a pretty smooth transition from Olympic lifting to powerlifting if it's a good athlete. Well, it's going to be a good athlete. So.
He's a great
let's talk about this. I remember, you've forgotten more about Olympic weightlifting than I know, but I do know a little bit. So I remember like hearing stories like, back to Bulgarian system, guys are squatting like heavy, like 12 times a week for this madness. Like break down what, I'm sure it varies on athlete to athlete as well, but like help us understand like the importance of that frequency and like the difference between like what the average person views working out and what the pattern of an Olympic weightlifter is, because it's radically different. I know that much.
Right. A lot of guys will go to, like in the Bulgarian system, they ended up to the point where most people that trained in that system would lift 3 times a day on Mondays, twice on Tuesdays, 3 on Wednesdays, twice on Thursdays, 3 times on Fridays, twice Saturday, and then 1 time on Sunday. That was where they were going. That was their goal, but the thing that most Americans who tried to adopt that is it was a very slow process. You didn't say, Corey, if you would have came to me at 15 in Bulgaria, I would not have put you on that. You would have probably done 3 days a week. And then they would have slowly ramped that volume up in frequency. And so in weightlifting, what makes frequency important is because it's more of a skill sport. So it's more like, baseball. Like, they swing the bat almost every day. Or if they're a pitcher, they're going to pitch frequently because that motion is what's important to them. And so with weightlifting, it's the same thing. It's like, you've got to, snatch, clean, jerk. I don't believe you need to squat as often as they did. Like we squat. Well, I've done squat every day. And like there are times in our training where we might do exactly what you said, where they might squat, 6 days a week. But for the most part, the majority of the time are spent squatting 2 to 3 times, just like in powerlifting. And I feel like it works just fine. I feel like our weightlifters are known to be the strongest weightlifters in the country. So like, I don't know that squatting anymore, that would be any better. But there is times, one thing that I've learned from weightlifting is there are times where a high frequency squat program works very well. So it just depends.
Yeah. I mean, the uniqueness of the athlete, I'm sure, dominates a lot of what goes on with the training pattern.
Yeah. The size of the athlete, like if I were coaching you, I'm not squatting every day because now you're asking the guy to squat 1,000 pounds plus every single day. That's a whole different ballgame,
Right, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, like break down like what on average what a pattern, training frequency or training pattern would look like for an athlete you've been working with that's got a base established. That's like cruising at a competitive level.
Right.
So how do you tend to break it down? I mean, there's differences, but like give us a generic idea.
I do have, a generic idea would be this is like, like Ryan, I'll go off him, is like normally we're going to do like a lower body focus. We're going to do a very high volume snatch, clean, and jerk. And at times high volume, high intensity. Like right now we're in competition phase because the Arnold's next week. So then a Tuesday, is a lighter day, upper body focused, but volume is going to be dropped quite a bit from Monday. Wednesday is a moderate day where we're back to I do dynamic effort legs that day. So we're going to do what as close as we're going to get to what Louis would say about the dynamic effort. But, we use an approach called velocity-based training, which most people, think that that's just a copy of the dynamic, but it's not at all, because what we do is we test our athletes from 50% and we take 5% jumps all the way up to their max, looking at the different velocities. And what we're trying to find is a place in that where there's a breakdown. So you'll be so surprised. Anyone listening, like an athlete like Ryan, who's like he would be world class in powerlifting. He's a very strong squatter. He's 160 pounds raw squatting, 600 pounds. And so,
my goodness,
yes, at 19. And so,
right.
So but we found a breakdown in him. Why we've had the biggest gain lately is we saw between 60 and 70% there being a speed deficit to where it should be. Because a guy named Brian Mann, you should get Brian Mann on your show, by the way, but he did a ton of research on velocity-based training and found, a pretty good, it can give you a pretty good idea of how fast someone should be at X percentage. And so when I found the breakdown, I was able to, I'm telling you, 12 weeks, we didn't go heavy at all. We stayed between 60 and 70%, trying to really get faster in that area. And then fast forward 12 weeks later, and a guy who was already world-class took a 10-kilo jump. And so, which is big at his body weight in weightlifting when you're already at the top of your game. 10 kilos, 22 pounds is a massive jump when your focus is snatch and clean and jerk. So that's an example of what happens on Wednesdays. Thursdays is normally a very light day. I have a place at my office where they might do some flywheel training. I don't know if you've heard of any of that, but we do flywheel. Maybe they'll come in and do technique work. And then Friday's our heavy day. That's the Olympic max effort day. They're going to do some variation of snatch, some variation of clean and jerk. The closer we get to the meet, the more specific it will be. And then that's another lower body day, but lower volume. Upper body day. Saturday is our max effort, lower body squats. It looks like powerlifting. If you come in on Saturdays, we're squatting, we're pulling, and we're doing some accessories, and we're going heavy. The music's going to sound like powerlifting. You would feel right at home on Saturdays, and then Sundays we don't train, so we don't do the Bulgarian where they're going to come in on Mondays. But I will say, the ultimate goal would be to take Ryan as close to what I told you. We'll definitely go to 2-a-days on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday really soon. But I don't think we'll ever do the 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm going to give the minimal effective dose. Like, I'm not trying to kill a guy. We're planning 4 years, not 1 year. So it's a big difference.
Yeah. Travis, you're going to find this really interesting, man. In 2017, I went for the 308 deadlift record, which is 942. I honestly just had an atrocious meat prep for it, but it came pretty close. I ended up torching my hamstring.
I saw that.
And I decided, you know what? I think I can pull 1,000 if I get my actual, hit it all 8 cylinders, do things right. I think I can do 1,000. So I took a good chunk of time. Once I blew my hamstring out pretty wickedly that day.
Saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and so whatever. I took a few months where the heaviest. My goal to do this was keep every deadlift I did as fast as I could pull 3 plates. Right. So I ended up getting up to 7 plates, which is what's that, 675, I think, something like that. Maybe the collars on the bar. But anyway, for months, I never went above 7 plates, but I could pull 7 plates the same speed I pulled 3 plates. So I didn't have any equipment to measure the exact speed, but
I did now. Right.
Yes. So then
I
was like, all right, time to transfer into some heavy stuff. I had a meet picked out I believe early December of that year. And let's see, well, I better at least feel some heavyweight off the block. Here's where I messed up from a powerlifting standpoint. Went straight to my first heavy day, fast version of the story. It was pulling off blocks. I was going to, see if I can go into the 9s is my goal. So I went 940. Boom. Wow, that was ridiculously easy. Went to 980. Boom. That was pretty damn easy. A low thousands. Boom. It was pretty easy. Felt like a little kind of twinge in my collarbone, but it kind of comes with the territory. Went to 1,060. Bam. It was fast. Woke up the next day. Wow, my collarbone hurts. So that training that general method of training absolutely worked to transfer up my top end, but my skeletal system was not used to actually heavy poundage. And long story short, I partially fractured that collarbone in that meet, really jacked that collarbone up. But just it kind of stumbled upon that. I don't even know how I came up with that concept, but it definitely worked. I think for powerlifting, you're going such absolute maximum weights. You better do something to keep that skeletal system conditioned too, and that's where I screwed up.
Right. We do a phase called accumulation to where we're, and with Ryan and his kids, we track. I've gone way beyond when it comes to athlete monitoring. I track so many variables, but we do a phase of accumulation to where we slowly ramp things up. To, instead of doing I did, obviously as a powerlifter, I was just like you. If I thought I could do 1,000, I'm doing it, regardless of what I've been doing. And so it would be wiser of all of us, yes, to since you'd been spending your time dynamically, it would have been wiser to spend a longer phase, getting, just because you can do something doesn't mean your body is prepped to do it, like you said.
Yeah, live and learn. But anyway.
What is your best deadlift? I've been fascinated by how at you're my age, I think. How old are you right now?
Man, I just turned 50, Trev.
Yeah. So I'm about to turn 49. So we're really close. But you got your strongest, I feel in your 40s. Am I right?
Sure did. 44 through 46, I think was my strongest. Yeah, in that ballpark, whatever. But best competition deadlift, 3 white lights is 910 pounds. And went for 942 a number of times. You saw that my last trot, 942, and I kind of parked it now, man. That's the mindset, the lifestyle, just everything about it. Plus, I blew my patellar out playing volleyball that next summer. That's a whole separate story. But so 910 is my best in competition. It's pretty interesting too, because I did 910 at the Arnold in 2016 and blew it up, man. Really, a 940 lift would have gone that day, but it blew up so fast. It got kind of on sumo. Sometimes you get weird at the top. So I had a little up and down movement and got 2 reds on that lift. And so I knew Dave Hoff was running a meet, like I believe the very next weekend. So I'm like, well, I know I'm going to be gassed from this meet, but I think I got enough strength to make it work if I just, drive my hips through and hold steady. And went 910 again. Obviously I was gassed as coming off of a 3 lift meet, 7 days ago, but was able to hold tight and get the lift, 3 white lights, super clean lift. It was not nearly as explosive, but it was a smooth, clean lift. And so that was my best in competition, 910.
Yeah, that still puts you in a very elite group of people. Like, how many people have officially deadlifted over 900?
Man, at the time, I think it was only like 15 or something total. I mean, it wasn't that many. And that for a moment, I had the #1 sumo of all time and the #1 double overhand of all time, hook grip, obviously.
Nice, my man. Yeah.
And I think that kind of I don't know if it's just universal thought or if people caught wind of what I was doing, because after that I saw more and more and more people going to hook grip, and I think it's the way to go, man.
Me too. Yeah, totally. I mean, that's how I deadlifted too, was double overhand hook. It's just like it's an efficient
so much more smooth, man.
Right, and it way less risk of tearing that bicep is one of the reasons why I wanted to. I was able to let my arms hang longer. As you and I both know, a lot of people use their arms too much in deadlift, and it just forces you to, number one, it throws you out of your rhythm, and number two, I feel like you're going to tear your bicep. And so,
yep, that's one of the reasons I made the switch. Is doing a few years prior to that, I was attempting 1,000 something. I don't know, either 1,010 or 1,040 pound tire flip, cold, not warmed up, of course, per my MO, and smashed that left biceps pretty badly. So kind of pushed me into learning hook grip, because that flip grip was not going to work after that bicep blew up, man.
Oh man! So
couldn't you just turn your grip and destroy the other bicep with an opposing grip?
Pardon me?
Couldn't you just flip your grip the other way around and destroy the other bicep, make it even?
Oh, just destroy both sides?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good answer, Trav.
Yeah.
Just joking. We had hit the half-hour mark. It's time to go into part 2.
Yeah. All right. What we'll do, we'll take a quick little break and we'll pick this right back up.
All right.